Hello, and thanks for tuning in to MPTT. I'm Marissa Johnston.
And I'm Maddie Miller.
And we're continuing our series, NU Couples.
You may be familiar with the infamous NU Singles series that highlights the singles of Northwestern University, but our program instead highlights the couples of NU. Today we are speaking with two campus-wide known couples, Leanna and Joel, as well as Christian and Eva.
All right, first we have Leanna and Joel, who've been together for 5.5 months. So tell us how you've met.
I'll go. Yeah, we met actually freshman year, the first day of orientation.
Oh, wow.
We were in an orientation group. So we've known each other for almost...
Her last name's Crawford, mine's Christopher, so we were together in
There
the
you go.
orientation group.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so how did you guys kind of start, courting or figuring out that you might have feelings for each other?
So, well, when I first met him, he had a girlfriend, a first few months of freshman year. I brother zoned him, if that's a thing, and friend zoned him right from the beginning. And so then when we came back to school sophomore year, I noticed that he was a little more friendly than usual, and I was like, what the heck? So I kind of was like, hey, it's I don't want you to get the wrong idea, but I think we should just be friends. And then a month later we started dating, so it didn't really work. But
So what was your first date like? First official date?
We went to the beach house down in Kirkland and got dinner, and I think we talked about Christmas. I don't know. We talked about holidays. Somehow that was the topic of conversation. She was like, "What's your favorite holiday?" So we
Anything
talked
to get
about
to know
that.
someone, right?
yeah, so we talked about family and holidays.
And then after that, we went to Daru and got dessert because, yeah, we were feeling some Daru cake.
All right, how would you guys say that you balance, school, work, classes, friends, God, and your relationship?
That has honestly been something we've been learning to do better, because I think, I don't know, when you first, or at least for me, when you first start dating someone, he was, my first boyfriend, and so, or is my first boyfriend, we're still dating, and it's sort of oh my gosh, this is so fun, and so then, it was kind of hard at first to find the balance between, him and then my girlfriends, but so then, now getting better at that and being hey, being persistent with them, because I could see him all the time, which I love seeing him all the time, but finding that balance and just being hey, I want to be friends with you guys. I'm I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't know, they've been really great, a lot of my girlfriends, and that they are very understanding, and so that's been cool. And so then just trying to find the balance between him and my girlfriends. And then school, I can't really do homework with him. I found that out. He's very distracting. No, I'm kidding. We just have fun and want to talk together. So I'm I just have to either be by myself or with one or two other people, not usually with him. And then for sure, I don't know, we've tried doing some Bible studies together and stuff, which is fun. We're just not very persistent at doing that together. So then, which is really bad. That's something we've been working on getting better at. Is we think it'd be cool to do devotions together more persistently, consistently.
What was a pivotal moment in your relationship?
Maybe the first time that I went over to her house and met her family. That was just a big one because I don't know, just kind of realizing that it wasn't just going to be me dating Leanna. It was going to be me dating Leanna, but also getting to really become part of her family and know all of her family really deeply and stuff like that. And so that was I don't know, a bigger deal than I thought it would be. And I don't know, so I mean, but that was really cool because I love her family and have really good relationships with all of them.
Was there one for you that you can think of?
It helped me understand him better and where he came from when I got to go over to his house and meet his parents and his sisters, and I don't know, that was just kind of, those have been some of my favorite times, is going and being able to be with his family. I think it just helps me understand him better. So that was, I think, definitely the first time. That would probably be, and that was more at the beginning of our relationship, so that was probably really pivotal.
So would you say that those are your favorite memories of so far of your relationship?
Those were fun. We got to go to California on this trip to a convention with one of our classes earlier this year, and so we got to go to Disneyland for a day, and that might have been one of my favorite memories, was going to Disneyland.
Really cool.
But
We only had 12 hours in the park, so we ran to every ride. There's a group of 8 of us, and we just ran everywhere. It was so much fun. We had planned this road trip from Las Vegas after Coralons to Santa Monica and up to back home because my parents needed to get their motorhome back up to Seattle that had gone to Palm Springs. So we drove from Las Vegas to Palm Springs and picked it up and then drove all the way back up after Coralons, and it was really fun. It was with my sister and then another one of our friends, and so it was the 4 of us up the coast, and it was really a lot more driving than we thought it was going to be, but it was a lot of fun because, I don't know, we were driving most of the trip, but it was fun and just, I don't know, kind of an experience that you don't get to do very often.
Would you guys have any one piece of advice for other NU couples?
I don't know, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that you have to try to see things from, I don't know, from another person's perspective, obviously, and I mean that's kind of in any, I don't know, kind of relationship, friendship, conflict in life, but even all the more I don't know, just the way that I think is completely different than the way that she thinks, and the way that I don't know, the things that I think are important and completely critical, sometimes those aren't the things that she thinks are important and critical. So just kind of seeing learning what exactly how she functions is and how she thinks, and that's a slow process. You can't really do that very quickly. So then I don't know, I'm figuring her out, and then 6 months in, I think I'm starting to get a better idea of how she thinks, and that really helps. So I don't know, I guess not deciding that you know somebody just because you've been dating for a month or whatever. It's I'm still trying to learn her. And so.
Yeah, I'd probably piece of advice is I don't know, just establishing how important God is in the relationship and that He should always be number one, and just that the conversation should be really comfortable to talk about that. I think is super important. I mean, most couples at NU are probably going to be Christian couples, so just that they establish hey, this is so fun to talk about, and those have been some of my favorite conversations is when we're talking about different Bible classes or different I don't know, stuff like that. And so just making sure He's always number one, because it can be really easy to I don't know, have Him be number one, or my friends, or my homework, or anything else. So but that's just life advice. It's just, I don't know, I feel it's really important in relationships.
All right, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Want to throw a huge event, but are too lazy to plan it yourself?
Call Tolo Events. Tolo Events creates, designs, and produces live event experiences.
For your next event, call 206-962-0012. Again, that's 206-962-0012.
You'll be guaranteed a memorable and compelling experience.
All right, welcome back. And now we're talking to Christian and Eva. So tell us, how did you guys meet?
So we met first through worship auditions here. I think the first time we ever talked was at the START conference. Yeah, so they were giving free watches, and her and her friend saw this watch, one of the watches on, and they're like, "Oh, that's a really cool watch." And I was like, "Here, you can have it." And because they were free, and I was like, "Well, they're technically for students, so whatever." So I gave it. I didn't think anything of it then. Yeah. But then later we talked after that worship meeting, and asked her if we could go get food sometime, and we went to what is that? Thai place, downtown Kirkland, and that's where we started hanging out.
Yeah. All right, so that first date, was it kind of awkward? Was it interesting trying to go out together for the first time? How did that work out?
Honestly, it was kind of awkward for me because I wasn't sure if this was an interview for a job or something, because you just kept going at it with questions for me, and I was kind of shocked.
I know that there's no scale for it, but what would you say the point in friendship is where you can actually feel like you have a foundation in God to the point where you feel you're ready for a relationship?
That's a great question.
That is a really great question.
Yeah, it'd been like a month in and we'd gone on a couple dates and just trying to figure it out. And I didn't want to rush anything, but I still didn't want to waste your time. And so I was like, can we talk like somewhere like quieter? And like, unfortunately, it was like rainy and windy outside. I was like, I don't care. And so we like went outside and I was like, it sounds horrible, but I was kind of like, well, we're not friends yet. But like, I was like, I told her, and she was with me on the same page. I was like, I don't want to date someone to become their friend. I want to date my best friend. And so we kind of had that like mutual understanding of like, let's become friends. And I wanted to get to know her friends and her to know mine. And it was this weird, like, we kind of friend zoned each other, but with the purpose of dating if that came out of it. But it was like, we already knew we liked each other in the sense of like, there was enough common ground and like mutuality that we're like, I like hanging out with you. Like, I'd hang out with you regardless if I was interested in you. But I want to be your friend before we do that. And so, even though it was like awkward and rainy in like November, we had this weird like, okay, let's like build a friendship. And that included everything before I dated her. And I think that would, I mean, if that was there, it was going to come out, and it definitely did. So
how would you say you balance, school, friends, and God? I mean, you kind of touched on that, but I mean, just like in your everyday, daily lives, how do you balance everything?
I feel like it wasn't hard to balance everything because I had my solid ground of having my relationship with God first before anything else. And with school and with work and with Christian, I mean, I think even though we have busy schedules, we still make time for each other. And I think that's really cool to have.
So one thing that like was a really big deal to me was when we first met, she was like taking the bus from Linwood every day as a nursing major to be here. There were just certain things that like the discipline and the work ethic and the like focus that she had to have and drive. There's just a lot of like things about her that I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a really sharp woman, and like she knows what she's doing and she's figuring herself out. And so I think for us then also the fact that I was like, she's here to do school, like we both have purpose to be here, and it's not each other. It's a huge privilege to be able to come here and be together and do stuff like together, but that's not why we were here in the first place. And so that's like, I mean, I think one of the best ways that I can show her like love and respect is by saying like, you're here to study, and like I'm not going to be in the way of that. And but like I'll text in the morning, like after like, get ready, make my lunch, buy a lot of breakfast, whatever. I'll like text you and be like, hey, just thinking about you, like make today great. And it's not like, while it can kind of feel like it's what we do every day, it's for me, it's like one, like I want her to always know like I'm thinking about her and like esteeming her, but at the same time, like we're not really one of those couples that we have to talk all day to be okay. We see each other, but like, I mean, we don't have lunch together every day. Like she has her life here, I have my life here, and it's just a privilege that they get to intersect. But like, she's here for a reason. I want to respect that. And same thing, she's like great with mine here. So.
Wow. Okay. If you had to pick one moment once you actually started dating that was really pivotal, what would it be?
It was one of our arguments.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, do tell.
Well, I remember there was this time in the summer, right before you were about to leave on your trip, because he travels with Crossing and whatnot in the summer, and it was just a hard time for me and him because we were hanging out every day and we just got so used to being with each other, and so we just had this deep talk of like, we know each other well, but something's kind of, I don't know, missing, or...
I remember, yeah, because we were sitting at the dock, we saw the Brennickys there, we got that restaurant, yeah, I remember that. We couldn't decide what to eat. We never can decide what to eat.
Yeah.
We default on Thai food now. Actually, I think for me, probably the most pivotal moments have been arguments, and I mean that in like a really good way.
Yeah.
Because one, that means we're not the same person. Like, I don't want to date myself. Like, and she doesn't want to date herself. Like, I want someone who disagrees with me and someone who's like their own person. And I was like, if we go in a relationship and we never have arguments and we never have things where we disagree, we're not different. I'm like,
we're not growing.
We're not growing.
Yeah.
We're not being real with each other. Like, we haven't had the same life, so we have to be able to disagree and like talk about, I mean, we just have had different experiences in life, so we think differently. And so, for me, like, some of my favorite conversations, my favorite times with her have been like, okay, we're gonna sit in my car and we're gonna like argue or cry or whatever.
I'm gonna cry.
She's gonna cry.
I always cry.
And I'll bring the tissues. But like, I don't know, it's always like, we talked about it. Like, we don't need to hash it out. We don't need to do you always do this, or like, you never, it's never been like that. And so for me, like, having those kind of, those hard conversations means like, one, like, I'm dating a real person who has like thoughts and feelings and like cares about things that I don't, and it like helps me grow and show me Jesus better, and it helps me like love her better rather than just assuming. I know one of the things we need to do too is like, I like learning our love languages too.
Yeah.
Where I would do things for her that I liked, and she would do things for me that she liked. But I was like, no, we have to switch that. Like, I have to give her love in ways that she likes, and she has to give me love. And so it's things like that where it's like, but it means like I'm learning her.
So what piece of advice, if you had to give one piece of advice to other NU couples, what would it be?
Well, I would say, just be friends first before going straight into a relationship with someone, because you really need to get to know the person without all the lovey-dovey. And then another piece of advice is just keep pursuing God first before anything else.
Good.
Yeah. And like, as generic as that is, it's really true. It's just so easy to make a person like the center of your world. And it's not like people are on purpose going like, oh, my girlfriend's everything. But like, the first thing you think about when you wake up, the last thing you think about when you go to bed, like what most drives your emotions. And if it's your girlfriend or it's your boyfriend, like, that really is your God. It's your functional God. And so I think honestly that's probably the reason why we try to not even text and talk all day, is because it's like our worlds can't revolve around each other. And so that's I completely agree with you. You're awesome. You're right. Yeah, that's really it. Like, let God be God, and everybody else can be a good second place.
Yeah, and plus, if you put either your boyfriend or your girlfriend before anything else, that can totally just break you. Because they can't be the one to fulfill you, because only God can do that.
Yeah, and like, I've realized, I think even we were talking just a couple weeks ago, how there's things I was like subconsciously expecting her to be and do, where I'm a book nerd. Like, I'm like, let's talk philosophy, let's talk theology, let's talk religion, let's talk about morals, let's talk about blah, blah, blah. And like, I was texting, and then one day I texted her, I was like, babe, I realized like, I've been expecting this out of you, and that's not you. And I was like, so first of all, I'm sorry if you ever felt pressure in that way, because like, I never verbalized it, but I realized like, I was thinking about it, and I was like, that's why I have other friends. Like, that's not you, and you don't need to be that for me. Like, and she's like, yeah, thank you, because I'm not going to be that for you. Like, that's not me. And like, yeah, and she has friends who are like more like her in ways that I'm not. And like, so I think too, bringing your friendships into the relationship, like, have other friends.
Yeah.
Having other friends, and it like pulls, there's things that like her other friends will pull out of her that I never will. Like, there's just things, she has connections with other people that, so I'm like, I want to know her, and I can only know her through her friends sometimes. And so I'm like, go hang out with your friends. Like, I want to get to know them and know you.
The same way when I meet his friends too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I kind of restated her. So, different piece of advice. I think don't shy away from just hard conversations. Oh, and I guess this is really part of it. Like, don't shy away from hard conversations, but like, don't break up because you're different people. And so,
just because you both don't agree on something doesn't mean that it's
cause
not
for
going to
a
work
breakup.
out. Yeah.
Like, arranged marriages have incredibly high success rates because they're like, we're committed to the marriage and committed to the relationship more than we're committed to ourselves. And I think like that's part of what we're learning more and more and more is like, we're committed to the other and to each other and to like the greater good of our relationship more than we're just committed to our individuality. But we have to allow our individuality is what makes the relationship flourish. And so I think just don't allow disagreements or things that are just like, that's who you are. Like, I'm not changing you. I can't change you. And so I think like, meet the real person and let them be them and like experience them. And if that's a person that you can't commit to for the rest of your life, that's one thing. But if that's a person who you're going to disagree with for the rest of your life, well, you're going to do that. You do that with God. Like, if you disagree with God and he's perfect and like he disagrees with us all the time and he doesn't leave. So like, do the same thing.
You guys said that you went on a couple dates before you started to realize, okay, let's be friends first. Where's the line between going on dates and being friends? Because I feel like it's a line that's blurred a lot
It's
on a
so
Christian
blurry.
campus.
Yeah.
If guys can do it in a way that's just not weird, I think it's okay to be like, hey, do you want to go on a date today sometime to get to know each other? Because the truth is, we're in such a small community that you'll always know someone's surface level, and it's never enough to like ask them out. And so I think if you're just really clear about your intentions, say like, hey, I want to get to know you. Like, we're not gonna date, but like, let's go on a date. Like, let's just go out. Let's get coffee. Let's go do something
Just
fun.
go out to eat or something.
Like,
There's
let's.
a difference between date and dating.
And so I think just give
So glad
people.
you said it.
Yeah, like give people that benefit of the doubt. But then also, don't be weird when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Be friends.
Just be friends.
The community is too small for weirdness. Like, and it's just too small for people to be awkward about it.
So good. All right. Okay. Thank you guys so much for
Yeah.
joining
Our
us.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Answering all of our questions.
That's the end of our show for today. Thank you for listening to MPTT. I'm Marissa Johnston.
And I'm Maddie Miller. Be sure to tune in next week when we will be continuing our NU Couple series with Alexa Linseth and Jonathan Storia.